Hi, this is James Moss. I'm doing a review of the 1991 action film Point Break. Yeah, right here, the original is much better, yeah? It has a good cast. Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze is in this film, yeah? The film was released on July 12, 1991, directed by some guy I cannot pronounce his name, but you can find out. Yeah, it has a good cast, like I said. Let's begin. It cut to a wave of oceans and we get to the title car. Yeah, that's when we get to Johnny Utah, played by the great Keanu Reeves. He's been assigned to investigate these robberies been committed by known as the ex-presidents who wear masks. There's Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and Ronald Reagan wearing those masks. And somebody's got to know who's been committing those bank robberies. Why it only happens during the summertime. Yeah, That's why he's teamed up with Angelo, played by the great Gary Busey. Yeah, And then there was a robbery, for those ex-presidents were committing their robberies. And the guy wearing the Richard Nixon mask is, "I'm not a crook." Yeah. Yeah, Johnny goes to the beach believes that they may be surfers being committing these robberies. Yeah, man with Patrick Swayze's character, Bodie. Yeah. The two became friends, and they also come across a gang led by Roach, played by James LeGlas. He was in Phantasm 2. Yep, anyways, they ran afoul with Roach, but Bodie scared him off completely. Yeah, that's when Johnny falls in love with this woman named Tyler, played by Laurie Perry. Yeah, they became friends. They fall in love. Yeah, Johnny Utah used to be a football player for UCLA, but below his knee he couldn't be a great football player. He could have played for the Cardinals, the Browns, the Bengals, the Jets, or even the Bears. You never know how that turned out. Just a minute. Johnny and Taylor hit it off big. Meanwhile, Johnny Utah follows those surfers known as following Roach, and he raided the place up and shot some of his gang members. Yeah, but it turns out they were the wrong ones. They were making deals. They were drug dealers. They were, at the time of the robberies, they were making deals, doing drug dealing somewhere. Well, anyways, he hang out with Bodie. They went surfing. Boy. And that's when Johnny secretly saw Bodie had this tan right there and wondering about that. Meanwhile, Johnny and Angelo were just, scoping the next bank, keeping an eye on the bank to make sure it's not robbed. This is funny when Angelo was reading the Sunday pages and he laughed at Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah, that was a good comic strip back then. He was laughing at it. Meanwhile, the presidents broke into the bank and that's when, before they went in there, that's when Bodie wearing the Ronald Reagan mask and says, "Rock and roll," and that's how they raised them hell robbing the bank. And tell everybody, "Give me your money right here." Just a minute. Yeah, they were robbing the place. That's when Johnny saw it and trying to broke up the bank robbery. There was some gunfire and some people were shot and killed. Johnny run after one of the president, the Ronald Reagan one, chasing him all over L.A. Oh man, that was a good chase scene. Yep. Did he followed him just a minute. Yeah, Johnny Utah following that Ronald Reagan guy. Chasing him until they get to a ravine and trying to stop him. That's when he noticed the sun mark, the suntan, and that's when he realized it was Bodhi was doing the robberies all along. Him and his friends. Yeah, but then that's when we get to the scene when Johnny and Angela both put two and two together and decided to go after him. That's when he realized that Taylor's in love with Bodhi. There was a scene when he and Bodhi were parachuting. Oh man, that's pretty cool. I want to do some skydiving. That would be cool. Anyways, Bodhi explained the reason why he was committing these robberies because he needs to go to Australia so he could catch the big wave in Australia. Yeah. Meanwhile, in the big showdown, Johnny and Angelo and the rest of the FBI track Bodhi and his gang where they are, and there was a shootout. Angelo got shot and killed. Johnny was pissed. Johnny goes after take out the members of the ex-presidents, all but Bodhi. Him and Bodhi had a showdown to rescue Taylor. He rescued Taylor and let Bodhi go. And he rescued her. 1 month later in Australia, Johnny Utah found out where Bodhi is. He decided to go after him. And gets a warning from one of the natives that the beach is closed because of a big wave. Yeah, he found Bodhi. They had a surfing competition. And Johnny let him go, so he tossed his badge and just walked off. Yeah, the original Point Break is superior. You want to give it a 5 out of 5. Very good. Stay away from the remake. It sucks. Yeah. Well, anyways, it's a good movie to watch. Yeah, Point Break. I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Very good. And great surfing action and beach action and actions. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Once again, I'll say it again. I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Pretty good. Now, for my next review, I'm going to review the original Psycho. Till then, just, watch out for any bank robberies wearing ex-president mask. You may never know. I'll see ya and surf's up, man.